Hello and welcome back.
Oops.
Let's try this again, shall we?
There you go.
Welcome
Perfect.
back. Today we are in Luxemburg.
Luxembourg, yes.
I got you some water because it's really. This is not working. Let's try this again.
It's pretty warm out here.
It's really warm out here.
It's good to stay hydrated, people.
Put this down here. I'm going to sit down. All right.
Okay. We're going to be talking about abandonment issues today.
Yeah.
Something that's extremely prevalent in BPD and one of its main symptoms. First off, what is fear of abandonment?
Well, pretty much the name says it already. Just pretty much scared of everyone leaving you and just disappearing on you and walking away and, just constantly.
Literally being abandoned.
Yeah, and it's something that a lot of people, I think, experience sometimes. I know a lot of people that experience it. And with BPD, well, I don't officially have BPD, but in my experience, it's something I experience pretty much every single day. When I'm alone, when I'm with people, it's almost always my mind. So
Yeah, same.
yeah,
And it's annoying because sometimes people don't give you any reason whatsoever that they don't give any signs that you're being abandoned. But
your
things
mind makes them up.
exactly.
Yeah.
Um yeah, it's
Where would you say they come from?
sorry, I was distracted by that.
That's
That
right.
was a bird. Anyways. Sorry, the question what causes it?
What causes it in your case, maybe, or in general, both.
Yeah, I'd say being abandoned. The most prevalent cases are my best friends leaving and um, my mother unexpectedly leaving. And I'd say oh, those things, well, they caused the fear of abandonment, of course, but it wasn't one specific case or, you know, situation. It was just multiple things
Mm-hmm.
over the years
Yeah,
that
it adds up.
eventually, yeah, exactly, it adds
Yeah,
up. Yeah. What
I get
about
that.
you?
So I don't really necessarily. I always say I never feel like anyone's like left me before. Not, at least
Hmm.
not in my youth. I can't remember. I mean, I when I went to high school, I pretty much lost my friends. Like I didn't have contact with them anymore. But it wasn't necessarily leaving. It was just you grow apart and you all go to different schools, and that was pretty hard on me.
Right, life got in the way.
Yeah, I guess so.
Yeah.
And it's not like my family ever left me or anything like that. But when I got up to high school, my abandonment issues were really bad, and I didn't even know what they were at the time. I didn't know that they were so severe, but I was constantly afraid because I had this new friend group, and I really liked them, and they were nice people and stuff. But I was constantly scared of them leaving me, constantly. So I was constantly seeking reassurance with these people. I know a few of them really did want to help me, and they tried to reassure me and stuff, but I couldn't really talk about it because I didn't understand myself.
Right.
So it was constantly just telling them, "Are you guys, do you like me? Do you not like me? Or you want to leave me or something? Please
Yeah.
don't go." Constantly seeking for reassurance because I was so terrified. Now I realize that I was terrified that I was gonna lose them.
Right.
Um, and I don't know where that fear necessarily came from. Maybe because I was insecure growing up and I had social anxiety but I did have a lot of friends when I was like in middle, I guess, when I was from 1 to 12 years old. That time around school, and then I went to a new school, and that's when it started really getting really bad in my head.
Yeah.
And I had to start over with my friends. I didn't have any friends in high school and middle school anymore, so I had to start all over. Um, and then it's just got really bad, and eventually did make me lose those people.
Hmm.
So because I don't know, we partly drifted apart, but partly it was just I think they also got it was just too much for them after a
Right.
while
Yeah.
because I know that it was not easy on them at all to deal with that constantly. But I was also really not aware of it, so I didn't really know what was happening, and I couldn't really do much or
Fair.
communicate it with them. And I think if I could have done that, it could have gone better.
Yeah.
But eventually, I got a new friend group, who I still have contact with, and not all of them really, but I don't have a lot of friends from around that time because it was just
Right.
so crazy in my life. And I think I did lose friends over the years, and I think my abandonment issues have gotten worse over the last few years because I have lost friends because of it, but I've
Right.
also lost friends with my abandonment issues, but also because of a lot of other symptoms I have, and
Right. Yeah.
because my behavior wasn't always right. I wasn't a really good communicator and stuff like that. So yeah,
Mm.
that makes you lose friends. And even
Doesn't
though
help.
the reasons that I lost them were valid, I think,
Mm.
um, that still made my abandonment issues worse then.
Yeah.
So
Valid.
yeah,
I mean, it's ironic because like you try so hard to not get abandoned, and exactly those types of actions cause you to get abandoned.
yeah.
It's
It's so that's what
it's
sucks so much about it because
real. Like
yeah, you have to not act on those fears or you're gonna get abandoned. If you act on your abandonment issues,
and
the
it
chances could be
sucks
higher that yeah.
because you all you want is to be reassured
Yeah.
that you're not gonna get
Yeah.
abandoned, and then so basically you have to like try and ignore those feelings.
Yeah.
But people also say you have to communicate about your needs. But the moment where those needs become too much, you get abandoned.
Yeah.
And it's a
Yeah.
vicious cycle. And it's just,
Yeah.
it's ironic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And I think these are like the bad experiences we had. But
True.
like it's not like we've lost all our friends because of it. I would say. I mean, I don't know how you experience a lot of them or how it's going right now, but I still have friends from years ago. I haven't lost all my friends
Right.
because of it, you know? So
Fair.
I think there are some
Oops.
good experiences. It's not like I've communicated my bad issues. I'm just more aware of them,
Mhm.
so I don't act on them. I don't communicate it with everyone.
Right.
Only people who I think would understand it, or I'm really close with,
Yeah.
and that I actually fear will abandon me.
Right.
But how's that for you right now?
Well, that's, it's difficult.
That's okay.
It's complicated.
It's
Let's just put
complicated,
it that
isn't
way.
it always?
Yeah, isn't it always? Fair. No, I have certain people that are still in my life that I do not consider friends.
Mm-hmm.
They are one-sided friendships where they get what they need from me, and that's it. And I'm okay with that. There's nothing, you know, I get my needs elsewhere, um, but I wouldn't consider them friends.
And what makes you keep them in your life?
I do like helping people,
Yeah.
and there's a bit of people pleasing mixed in
Mhm.
there. There's also the I know what it's like to be
Yeah.
abandoned. I don't
Yeah.
want to
Do
do
that
that.
to someone
Yeah,
else. Yeah, I
exactly,
get that. I
exactly.
get that really badly. I used to do that with some of my friendships as well. That I would just like stick around with them
Right.
because I didn't want them to know what it was like to be abandoned. But in the end, it made the friendship a little bit wobbly. And I mean, sometimes it's fine. With some friendships, it can work. You know, if you don't see each other often, it
True.
works. But with sometimes it can only make your own self-esteem worse because you don't feel appreciated in friendship. Where someone else, where you only think about someone else's needs and not your own,
Yeah.
you're gonna pretty much manipulate yourself into that your needs could not be important. I don't know if you ever feel like that.
Oh, for
Talk about this
sure,
before,
definitely. Yeah.
and
Absolutely.
yeah. So I think that's a kind of a tricky one thing with thinking because you know how it's always like to be abandoned. I think you should communicate with people, but when friendships are one sided, and I don't even then I'm like, how much does this person really care about you as a person? You know,
They care in their own way.
what is their own way? They care about what they get from you.
Ouch.
I'm sorry, I mean, that sounds harsh, but I'm like, you
No, fair
deserve
enough
better in
though.
some situations. I think I do
I
think you deserve
appreciate
better.
it. Appreciate it.
Yeah.
No, I'd say if I may be so bold or blunt,
Of course.
I don't think they can handle the stuff I deal with.
Yeah.
So the moment I do tell them about abandonment issues or my BBD or anything else for that matter, they either turn it on themselves, they make it about them, or they just don't listen.
No, that's not a good friendship. When
No, that's
someone's
why I said it.
yeah,
I don't consider them friends.
yeah,
They're people I hang around with
yeah,
sometimes.
yeah,
Well, yeah, you get what I mean. They come to me for help and stuff like that.
yeah.
And they're not necessarily bad people.
No, I
It's
believe
just
that people can be different sides. I just don't think that they add to your life in a way. So that makes
no,
them. So
true.
that just something you have to think about, that you don't expect that that's what you deserve, because you need to see the difference between, okay, this is just me helping people,
Mm,
and okay, I have friendships that I'm in a good environment where I'm close with
I'm
people, and
safe.
I
Yeah.
do get what I deserve, and they're both sided. So it's like you also
Absolutely.
get
It's
the
two-way
friendship
street
back.
for
Yeah,
sure.
because if you only have those kind of friendship groups, I know you don't, but then you're gonna start believing that that's what you deserve, because
Yeah,
that's how
fair.
I guess our mind would work anyway.
True. True that.
So yeah.
Um, I forgot the next point.
No. I guess triggers and stuff. No.
Sorry.
Whatever. What do you want to say about abandonment issues? Things that you think come up, you find interesting.
Abandoned issues suck.
Of course I do. We already know that.
Yeah,
It's why
true that.
we're talking about it. Everything we talk
Uh,
about sucks.
you're real. Damn, that's accurate. Uh, it's complicated because they're as horrendous for the person experiencing them as for the people surrounding
Mm.
them. Uh, and if you haven't been trained, is the wrong word. I'd say
Experience or
if you not medicated,
oh.
if you haven't been to therapy for those kind of things,
Mm.
it can cause some real damage. And I think it's sad because the person doing those actions, um, eventually, it all comes down to being loved, accepted, and
Yeah.
not being constantly afraid and paranoid
Yeah.
of being left alone. Um, and it's disappointing, but also sad. Like I said, that okay. Hang on. Let me rephrase. In most cases, these people with abandonment issues, they get them because people leave them for either a good reason or no good reason.
Mm-hmm.
I've been abandoned for both. Like, I have not been a saint. However, the times I've been abandoned were because I had abandonment issues. And it's sad that it's come to a point where well, not you, um, there we go. It's preventable. Most things are preventable.
Some things aren't.
True. Um, and like with my mother, it was preventable, but I can't control others' actions.
I mean, how could you have controlled her from leaving?
Exactly. Some others are preventable,
Mm.
but that's also because of my own behavior.
No, I get that. I have that as well.
So yeah,
Yeah,
that's
I've experienced both as well.
mm,
You have control with some friendships, but also some people will give you a chance, and if you constantly just like act on the behavior and your own fears, then you might end up losing people. And with some people, um, the reasons might not be really understandable
right.
or valid in our, which I would say, and then it just you can still blame yourself for it.
Oh, definitely. Yes.
You can still doubt. Okay, they abandoned you for a reason that was out of your control, but then you'll still feel like you're at fault.
True that.
What makes the abandonment issues worse? but also
Yeah.
makes you feel like, okay, so this can just happen out of my control. This means it can happen at any time, even when
Oh, yes,
people
that's a
tell
terrifying thought.
you,
It's like, oh, I can do everything right,
and it can
and
still
it
happen.
still happens. It's like,
It can still happen. You can
great.
still leave at every moment. Yeah.
Yeah, that does not help.
Yeah. No, exactly.
But what would you say? Uh, you just had a statement, but I'm gonna turn it into a question. What
Okay.
makes your abandonment issues worse? What are your triggers?
Well, just triggers. I have plenty of triggers, just a lot constantly. And it's so stupid because sometimes they're so small and it'll just like immediately explode. Like, I'm gonna get this deep in here. My abandonment issues are one of the worst symptoms I have with BPD. When they get so bad, it can really make me suicidal. It can just make me feel like I really don't see the point in living anymore. So sometimes this can just happen with a simple text, and it'll be just like a cold text, like "okay" or "it's fine," or just a reaction that someone gives that just has no emotion, and it's just
Yeah.
really short. And when you're excited and they're just reacting shortly, and you feel like they're not excited, or just that they don't really care anymore, or they're probably going to break up the friendship, and then you start spiraling. You're like, oh, they don't care anymore. They don't want me in their life anymore. Apparently, they're losing interest in me, and they're slowly going to move away from me. And after a while, I'm just going to lose them. Maybe they're not gone yet, but they'll be gone soon. So I'm probably going to lose this person because I didn't expect that at first, but now I do.
Right.
And now probably everyone in my life is going to leave me. So eventually everyone is going to leave me, and all new people I meet in my life will also leave me. So it's pretty much a curse and a spiral, and I'm never going to get out of it. So maybe I should just die.
Yeah,
That's
pretty,
the fucking mindset of this video.
that's pretty
It's so
accurate.
fucking tiring. And it can just happen by one simple freaking text, or when someone's tone is cold.
Yes.
You know, even in real life, when someone just like, if maybe you're having a bad day and you'll take it personally. I don't always. I try to see the difference between it, but sometimes someone's just a little bit colder, or they react harshly, or they're bad at reacting or something. Whatever. There are so many different triggers that can just
Absolutely
make it feel like that. Yeah. So I even had a few friends that yesterday, and they would just text me, and it would just like be really short, and I was immediately like, "Shit, they're gonna leave me. They're gonna leave me.
There we go again.
And it's just so stupid because the next day I'll text them again, and they're excited, and I'm like, "Oh, everything's fine again.
Wait,
okay,
never mind.
Okay, I think I'll still have them.
Yeah,
it's fine.
No, it's horrible.
Yeah,
I get what you mean. It's
freaking tiring.
Yeah, because like it's sometimes we're the ones who have cold responses or don't have
try to realize that a lot. I mean, think about it
no, true.
I think we both do because we both
true
on text. Maybe I'm still working on it, but we both, at least you, always react in a really way that's like you can notice your emotions or something, or it seems like
right.
Yeah,
I don't text dryly.
Not at all.
That's good to know. Thanks. Yeah, no, true. But like, for example, triggers like, someone not responding for a while. I'm like that too, Sometimes I don't have the energy, or I'm busy.
Yeah.
I am busy.
No, true. Yeah, because reasons can still be valid, No,
it's true. But like, it's frustrating that our minds go to such extreme depths and like thought spirals.
Yeah.
While the same behavior that causes us to spiral is something we also exhibit. Yeah. And it's like, why can't we, or why can't I, on an emotional level, accept the fact that it's probably nothing when that person texts dry text, or responds a little late, and why can't I accept the fact that it's probably because they have a life? And it's and it's frustrating because when people do this to me, I get frustrated too. It's like, I'm sorry, I'm not there. I can't always respond. I am busy. I don't look at my phone when I'm with people, and I'm with a lot of people. And it's something.
It's sometimes hard, and sometimes you don't realize that they're like busy, and you're like, but you should have time a bit for me.
Exactly. It was like,
that's not really fair.
Why? It's like, seriously, does it take 5 minutes to respond? Like, why can't you just take 5 minutes? And then
Like, you don't know how many busy people. Like we both sometimes have like more than 10 texts open on our chat, and we're busy.
17 at the
Yeah. See, what is
18.
this? And then we both don't have time to like respond to people. And I feel so guilty for that sometimes as well because I don't want to make them feel, like I don't care.
Right.
And I want to react on time myself. But I'm sometimes busy. So I'll be with people, or I'll have something going on where I can't be my phone, and I'll literally be on people the whole freaking day. Maybe I'll have 5 minutes for myself in a day. It doesn't always happen that often, but it sometimes happens. Sometimes it happens, and then I'm like, this could actually happen to other people as well. So I guess that might be a reason why they respond late to me sometimes. Explains it. Yeah.
Ah. Yes, I
Yeah.
agree.
But there's so many triggers. Like us also, people like sometimes I've had people joke about them like, oh, I'm gonna leave you now. It's just like a joke because you don't have something in common or something. And they'll just say like that can be so triggering. Even though it's a joke, people have joked about it before. I don't know if that has happened to you.
Yep.
Yeah. And it's just like people think it's just something lightly, but when you have abandonment issues, the jokes can also come in really
Oh,
bad.
for sure, definitely.
And it's just not fun.
Especially on bad days.
Yeah. But everything will hit harder on bad days.
Yeah, true that. Just like this liver shot now. I'm kidding.
Sure.
What helps you? What can other people do to help your abandonment issues / help with the reassurance, stuff like that?
So I think a lot of my close friends know I have abandonment issues. People outside of that, I've talked about it. I've written songs about it. So people could know, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I've had people that I have told, they will reassure me sometimes. So
yeah,
it's like I constantly talk about it. I've communicated it, and they are like, if you experience this with me right now, you can always bring it up. You can text me, tell me, and we can talk about it. So I do have friends that like will want to talk with me about it, and they'll reassure me if I tell them that I'm scared that I'm going to lose them. And it's really nice to have people like that would just like not feel like you're complaining. They will just reassure you.
Definitely.
So I do appreciate that. Sometimes with friends though, they'll keep reassuring me, but I won't see those friends for a while because they're so busy in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And then I'll be like, yeah, you keep reassuring me, but I never see you, so you're still kind of gone. Which is also frustrating sometimes, but that's just me getting in my head. And then and later on, I realized like, okay, they're actually really busy, so I get that they don't have time.
Right
now, I do get that.
Yeah.
But then your mind just like starts playing tricks on you that they don't really care.
Yeah.
No,
fair.
Yeah, but I guess what helps is reassurance. Sometimes being able to talk about it. Also, just random reassurance that people like appreciate you. When people tell you that they appreciate you, or they remind you why they actually like you, like having you in their life. You don't have to do it all the time because I know it's a lot. It doesn't depends. It can be a thing that you don't always do with all your friends, but I think that's an important thing in friendships. Like in every friendship, not just people that have abandonment issues, that you tell people why you appreciate them and that you like spending time with them and that you miss them. I think it's important to tell people that because it's something that people need to know and be reminded of.
No, I agree, definitely.
So and that helps with abandonment issues. The fact that you can talk about that, and you feel appreciated, and you feel that people miss you, and you remember why people want you in their lives. But
what people want?
You have anything to add to
that? Other than the fact that I completely agree, not much. I'd say communicate with the people you're close with because they genuinely care.
Try to communicate.
Yeah, exactly.
Not easy always.
No.
It feels really vulnerable to be open about abandonment
Tell me
issues
about
and scaring
it.
people. It's really putting yourself out there. But
yeah, no, it's impressive when people can deal with it. But I mean, specifically people on the outside, dealing with people they know who have abandonment issues. I had a talk last night with my girlfriend, and I was like, yeah, I'm actually kind of scared that you see me as a hyper focus, which, it happens. Don't overshare. We'll see. But she reassured me, and it's amazing what people can do with the right words.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, and you're right. At random times, not just when you talk about it, but at random times where you, I don't know, you're just doing your thing, and then suddenly they text you, "Ha, I miss you," or "I appreciate you being in my life," or
Yeah.
whatever. That's like, oh,
Yeah, and that helps,
thank
because
you.
you could be having a bad day and that should
No,
actually just
exactly,
help you.
exactly. Yeah.
How long? How long does reassurance stay with you? Because sometimes people will reassure you,
Mm.
and with me, it could disappear again really quick. So you feel reassured, and then it just leaves again. Like,
Oh, yeah.
I'm not reassured
That's
anymore.
it's
So,
10 minutes.
yeah, could be the case. Not always the case. Sometimes it stays for like a day for me,
Mm.
or a few hours. Sometimes it stays for 10 minutes,
Yeah, no, exactly.
which sucks
It's
because it's really complicated.
that's complicated. Yeah, no, I agree. It depends also on the person.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I also how good I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Some days are good, and then it's like you know, sticks around for a few
Yeah,
days, and
yeah.
other days is like, thanks, and then half a minute later it's like, wait, hang on, we're picking up on a signal. People, help, help! Like, come on,
Oh
she
yeah.
just gave you it.
It was like
Uh,
if people give reassurance and they text with them or they stop texting and they're like, you probably changed your mind in those 10 minutes.
exactly,
You
exactly.
changed your mind. You
Yeah,
don't love me anymore. You regret your words
there's
right now.
so I
Probably
did something to cause
in those ten
you
minutes.
to, yeah, exactly,
So something so drastically that they would decide to leave you. That's
absolutely,
so realistic.
me
When
existing.
you can be, that's kind of sad.
It's
No,
funny.
it's not.
No,
Yeah.
it's a complicated one. Would you? What advice would you give to someone who knows someone who has abandonment issues?
If you
Just
know someone,
how do you deal with
I mean, I
that?
would try it when you know people have experienced it. What I said before is, I guess, talk to them about it when you know that they struggle with it, and maybe give them his reassurance sometimes, because sometimes it's just little reassurance that don't have to do it like every hour or something, but a text in a day or something
Yeah,
could really make the difference. It could be just a little text that could make them feel appreciated, and that can help those thoughts in their head, go dim a little bit and go quiet a bit. It can be that simple, really. I think.
I agree.
Yeah, and
That's
just
really
check
fun.
up on them, I guess, because sometimes it can be really hard to struggle with abandonment issues, and you can just check up on people if they experience a lot,
Yep.
or if they're having struggles with people in their life, or problems or stuff that could make their abandonment issues worse. Then maybe check up on them a little bit more,
Hmm.
because abandonment issues could be a little bit worse than usual, I would say.
Yeah, let's go
Yeah,
on.
you got anything?
Sorry. Um, give them random reassurance when you feel like you can give it.
Yeah.
Don't push your own boundaries just because someone else has abandonment issues.
Hmm.
That's not,
No,
it's not
you just
okay.
don't have to change your
Well,
whole life and stuff,
exactly.
because that might just get in the way of the friendship.
Yes.
So
And it it doesn't need to become a chore.
yeah,
Uh, yeah, I'd say focus on yourself before being a
yeah,
well. It's basically the same thing as put your own oxygen mask before you're
yeah,
helping your child.
yeah.
Um,
So think about your own needs and boundaries.
exactly. But yeah, little things that help are just small reassurances,
Yeah.
random. If certain behaviors come up during such an abandonment spiel,
Hmm.
try just when so when I get in the abandonment issue spiral, I tend to shut myself off. I go away.
Hmm.
I push people away. That's a big one. I don't want to ask you about that one,
Oh yeah.
but it helps to stick around, be patient.
Mhm.
Do confront me about certain behaviors if they're not okay.
Yeah, no, of course.
Um,
Communication.
but in general, just stick with me.
Yeah,
That helps.
not good. I think also not when I went before you asked your question,
Oops.
is except next to reassurance. If you notice you're gonna be busy for a day or a little while, or you're gonna be away for a while, or on vacation
Fucking
maybe, and be like, I'm gonna be
yes.
busy. If you tell someone, okay, I'm gonna be busy for a little while, I'm not gonna be able to react for a day or a few days or a few hours, whatever. That if you tell them that can also keep a little bit reassurance because people know what they expect. If you suddenly disappear for like a few days and you don't react anymore, then that can just give a big error in our heads, like, oh, where did you go? If you communicate, okay, I'm gone for a little while, or I'm going to be more busy because of my exams or something,
Exactly. Yep.
that can also just like help a bit.
Completely agree.
So it's just communication and knowing what to expect and stuff.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
There, you said it. You said it. The key point to all of this.
Yeah.
Communication.
Pretty much.
That's
A
basically
lot of
it.
things. Yeah.
Exactly. So, not just
So.
abandonment, of course, but yeah, communication.
Also, by the way, this is another one. Another one. Try to think about words you're using. So don't joke about abandonment issues. And also, maybe some people have specific words that could trigger them, because I have one trigger word I have multiple probably, but one of them is too late. So when people will text me too late, even if it's just like a stupid situation, like example, if someone asks me, they're going to the supermarket and they ask me if I want something, and then I will respond too late and they already left the supermarket, and they'll be like, and I'll be like, oh, I would not want this, and they'll be like, oh, too late, I already left. That might already trigger me, which is really stupid, but it's just those words that I see on text, too late, that can literally give me panic attacks. I've had multiple panic attacks because of people texting me for just stupid situations.
That's rough.
It's really stupid. It feels really stupid, but it's valid in a way because it's something I've experienced in the past that makes it
bugs.
So makes it so intense in my head. But that's what some words can do. So the words can sometimes have an effect.
Completely agree.
Maybe be aware of that. Do you have trigger words?
I do.
What's your them?
Well, most of them are Dutch words. One of them is cha.
Cha. How do you say that in English? Let's say it's like okay. It's like, oh, fine, okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Of it's like yeah.
And that's true text.
I hate that.
Yeah.
I hate it so much. There was another one, but I can't remember.
Yeah, but I get that totally.
Yeah,
I understand.
It
shows like kind of disinterest or something in a way. It's like carelessness. And
exactly. And what comes before abandonment usually
is that disinterest. Yeah, disinterest. So
I had a question just now.
Yeah, you did. I didn't know what it was. Was it about pushing people away or something?
Yes, yeah. Thank you. Oh my god, you have a brain on you.
Sometimes.
That's yeah, pushing people away. What's your experience with that? How do you deal with it? And like, what's
so when a few people are gonna leave, in my head, you get the urge to run away before they can leave. So a lot of the times I'll be triggered by something, by someone just like not seeing me, or making me feel like they'll leave, and then I'll start spiraling. Okay, everyone's gonna leave me, and then I have the big urge to cut off everyone in my life. Mostly the person that probably triggered me, but also everyone else in my life, because I will feel like everyone's gonna leave me.
Yeah.
I haven't often cut people off in my life because I also have people pleasing behavior, and I try to fix things, but I will get the urge to block people in the past.
Oh yeah.
I will get the urge to like cut off friendships and be like, I don't see this working anymore, or you don't see this working anymore, and I will just feel like telling the person that they don't want me anymore. Or convincing them, maybe. But I don't really do that anymore. I get the urges I don't act my urges. Like, I will get urges to cut people off and run away. Or isolate. I do that sometimes as well. Isolate and not really respond as much. Put a little less interest in a friendship because I just don't feel like they care anymore. Which is also a way of cutting them off in a sort of way.
Yeah, you're
Um,
distancing
yeah,
yourself because
yeah,
the moment they do leave or you leave,
yeah,
it's gonna hurt less.
yeah, exactly.
It's a defense
Yeah,
mechanism. I recognize it. Yeah,
yeah.
fair.
So, what's your experience with that?
Well, because people pleasing, and knowing what it's like to be abandoned,
Mm,
I've never cut people off. But I do get what you mean. The extreme urge to run away, throw away your phone, live like a
mm-hmm.
nomad in the trees
Yeah,
and in the woods.
where no one can hurt you except yourself.
Exactly. Sounds pretty wonderful, but I, I usually just distance myself
Mm-hmm.
for a while before if I get triggered, um, because I know certain things will make it worse, and if
Yeah,
I just, take a step back, it helps with regulating. I
yeah,
can go through the stages, and then eventually come to a rational conclusion that there is, in fact, nothing going on.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I have certainly blocked people,
Mm-hmm.
but not for long periods of
Yeah, no, I
times.
get that.
So
Same. Yeah, they were both pretty aware of what are aware of abandonment issues and that they're not realistic all the time.
yeah,
That we just feel things really extremely, and we
exactly.
don't always act. At least you don't act. I don't act on my abandonment issues anymore like I used to,
Hmm.
which does help a bit. But communication is still important.
Yeah, true.
Um, yeah,
It's
like,
just
but yeah,
yeah,
people pleasing can also help with not acting on them, I guess. Yeah.
but in the same way, that's also a certain behavior
Oh
on
yeah,
acting on
yeah.
it, which is
People
ironic.
pleasing in a
Yeah,
way is
because
yeah,
you're like, okay, so if I'm interested in, you know who you are, by the way. If I'm interested in what the other person likes, they won't have enough reason, or they won't have so many reasons as to leave me. Um, Also, thank you. That was a good example. Um, and other than that, it's
yeah,
yeah, the people pleasing. It's
yeah. That's hard
something.
because if you should have to people please, if that's something that you don't want friendships where you should constantly have to do that.
No,
But
absolutely
sometimes
not.
the thought of leaving people
Mm,
or having people leave you is so much scarier than cutting off a bad friendship as well. But also
yes,
good friendships, it's still the urge to have people please. Even in healthy
or run away.
relationships or friendships, bad issues can still be a thing.
Yep. No, true. It sucks.
Yeah, it does. And I think that bad issues will always stick around a bit because it's something that just it's really hard, and you've gone through years of feeling like people will leave you and being triggered constantly by things and
Mm,
different people. So even in healthy relationships, just little signs and signals and things and tones and whatever and words might trigger you, even if they're not necessarily bad. They're just something that your mind makes up as bad, and it'll trigger you, even if the relationship is healthy. And that's
yep.
still possible. So that's also why communication is important. Just because something will trigger you, it's not necessarily from a bad place. Your head just makes it bad.
Your head's a bad place. No. Yeah.
Yeah.
True. Don't. I'd say to the. What advice would you give to the people who do experience abandonment issues themselves?
I know what you're going through. It really freaking sucks. I wish I could stop feeling it, but sometimes I do appreciate people more because of it. I
Yeah.
guess in a way, that's the only thing that feels good about it is that you appreciate people more sometimes.
Hmm.
And you appreciate things more. And you take things a little less for granted, maybe sometimes if you think about it, if you use it in a good way. But it's really hard, and just take things at a time. Please communicate it. Don't deal with it by yourself. Talk to someone about it because it's really hard to deal with constantly by yourself. And you experience it, it can go so heavy, and it can bring so many more dark thoughts to your mind if
True
you don't
that.
talk about it.
Yep.
So, I guess that
Yeah.
you.
Not sure. um. I feel for you.
Yeah.
And I'm not laughing in a haha, this is funny, but in it, well, it's a self defense mechanism, I guess.
As well.
However, uh, yeah, communicate, surround yourself with people who appreciate you, and who are willing to communicate slash, give reassurance
Yeah.
every once in a while, who won't make you feel bad for feeling like this, and just hang in there.
Yeah.
Hang in there,
You
champ.
got this. I believe in you.
Yeah.
And we're here for you.
Uh-huh. Wait, that sucks. Hang on.
Totally nailing this.
Absolutely. This is amazing. There we go. Boom. You have our full support.
Absolutely.
No, that sounds sarcastic as fuck.
But we mean it.
We do mean it though. Like,
Yeah.
if you ever have the means to reach out to us, any of us.
Our DMs are open.
Yeah, exactly.
So you can always send us a message.
Single thing and run into me. Oh, that's not me. Sorry.
Seriously, no. If you struggle with
Yeah.
this, you can always send a message.
Just come to us.
Yeah.
Or a trusted friend. That's it for this episode.
Yeah, I think so. All right.
Brilliant. Okay, see you next time.
See you next time.
Brilliant. Beans.